Have you ever wondered why you can't just fully be yourself, and that there may be something that you're missing about confidence, like there's some kind of blockage from you, that there's some kind of blockage stopping you from being that 100% version of yourself? In this video, I want to talk about something which, when I discovered it, was life-changing. And everyone that I've spoken to about it and I've taught about this method or way of viewing our minds has made massive changes. And I'm talking about internal family systems, or partswork. So for many years, I felt like I was just in my own way. I was blocking myself. There were times when I felt good. There were times when I felt bad. But I was always sort of suspicious of this. I felt like there was a version of me that I hadn't quite accessed yet, if that makes sense. There were times when I was extremely confident, but then it felt like I was sabotaging in a way, and I couldn't really put my finger on it. There was kind of like this inner obstacle that I felt like I had to overcome. And maybe you're getting what I'm saying here, but I want to go deeper on this and talk about something which I titled this video is the book that helped me, and how it's helped me, and why it's so powerful. And like I said, once you understand this, it's so liberating. So the first thing to understand is that we are not one mind. We are multiple minds. We have multiple sub-personalities. And that doesn't mean we are crazy. It doesn't mean that because we have all these different voices in our heads that we're crazy. And that's what we suspect when we first kind of learn this. It's like, I have a voice telling me that I'm no good, for example, or a voice that's telling me I have to achieve things in order for me to feel good about myself, or I have to be with a beautiful woman in order for me to like myself, and that there are all of these conditions for how I am going to be happy. And then we have the voice of comparison, and what these voices and where they actually come from. Once you understand that, it's actually really fascinating, and that's the beginning of the process, to understanding these voices and where they come from. So the book that I'm referring to here, which actually cracked my confidence, which actually made me relax, and I've read many books very similar to this, but this was the final book which actually made it very easy for me, and it's called No Bad Parts by Schwartz. And he talks a lot about internal family systems and the idea that we are all multiple personalities. We are not one personality. And the reason for that is that these personalities served the purpose during our development, during our childhood. They had their roles, which were these creative, fun, playful little beings that needed to explore the world. And this is the natural state of the mind for everybody. It's part of our development. And this isn't really accepted as an orthodoxy in psychotherapeutic development. But that's the truth, and you'll see it in yourself when the more I explain this, is that as you get older, you'll find that these parts, they feel like they need to protect you. So what are they really protecting? They're protecting these exiled parts of you, which felt vulnerable and scared and hurt, because the caregivers, your caregivers, presumably, didn't give you consistent, unconditional love. There was times when they scolded you when it really wasn't your fault, or they ignored you. Like for me, I got ignored as a child, and that really created these parts to be really protective over me and want me to be seen. So I'd always have to get validation somehow. And you see how this actually affects everybody. Everybody's having this. Everybody is affected by this, because these parts are burdened by these roles that they didn't really want to get into. They don't want to be doing these things. The inner critic doesn't want to be the inner critic. It wants to just play out how it is, naturally, playful, curious. When you look at children, they're confident. They don't have these burdens. They learn them. Naturally, you are confident. So you have all of these parts, the protectors, and then you can categorize them, like I've said in many of my videos. You can categorize them as the protectors, managers, and firefighters, exiles, and then beyond all of these parts, so the protectors are trying to look after you, and they're just basically trying to stop the exile from being exposed, the part of you that got hurt. The exile is the part of you that took all of the pain, and it's hurt, it's vulnerable, it's like a scared little boy or scared little girl. And the protector's saying like, no, we don't want this scared little boy exposed to the world because it's extremely painful. So what do? They constantly protect you. They manage you. They say, don't do this, don't do that. You need to do this, you need to do that. If you do this, you'll be happy. If you don't do this, you won't be happy, you'll be exposed. So they're running the show in the background. The exiles are always just there waiting. And occasionally they get prodded or poked. And that's when you get triggered. There's raw flames of anger, emotion. Normally relationships will trigger the exile. This feeling of being hurt, lonely. And that's what being triggered is. It's this disproportionate response to external stimulus. And then firefighters being addictions, last resort of not wanting to feel that pain. So that's why it's very difficult for us to just be with ourselves. We'll always reach for the cell phone. We'll reach for the cookie. We'll reach for whatever, something online that you shouldn't be watching. You shouldn't be watching. And addictions can take many forms, but that's all that is. It's essentially not wanting to be with yourself. So the book then is amazing because it goes into how we have something called the self. And this was quite a liberating realization that the self is essentially the essence of everybody. When I started doing the work and the meditations inside the book, that's when my protector started to relax. That's when my exile started to feel like it was being healed. And that's when the firefighters, the addictions I had in my life, started to sort of drop away, if that makes sense. I just didn't feel the need to do them as much. And it really felt like I was being healed. What emerged from that was a much more confident version of me. A more certain version. I was more clear. I was more compassionate. I had a lot more connection. And the self is what's shining through. So the self essentially is the essence of you. It's not necessarily a part, but it is you fundamentally. Everybody has a self. And that's what, and really when you look at other people now, you gain confidence because you're not intimidated by people. You see that they are protecting themselves just like you were. That's what these protectors and managers are doing. And that's what's being explained in the book. So if you want to gain confidence, you can't necessarily gain confidence. You would discover confidence, but if you want to discover this confidence, I highly recommend this book and do parts work. So if you want help working with these managers and protectors to actually relax them and so you can actually emerge as more confident, then book a 1-hour free call with me and we can get to the bottom of this. I'm highly confident that you will see changes. Everyone I work with actually does see changes. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Enjoy the book. Get the book now, and let me know if you've read the book already. Comment in the comments below. Like, subscribe to this video because that really helps out the algorithm, so more men and women can see this kind of content. And thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.